Okay, so my name's Jane Bürgermeister and I'm standing here in Vienna in the Heldenplatz where Hitler gave his famous speech in 1938 when Austria was annexed. And here in 2010 I feel like one of the people who's being persecuted by the Austrian government. On the 12th of August I have to appear in a court in Dublin. I have to undergo an interview concerning whether I should be put under court supervision. In German it's called a Sachwalterschaftsverfahren. If I am put under court supervision, I will have absolutely no rights, no right to defend myself in court, no rights over my own property, and no possibility of continuing my work. As a journalist who has worked for the Nature, the British Medical Journal, the Scientist, the Guardian and the Observer, I was one of the people who warned the world that the swine flu pandemic is not nearly as serious as the media and the governments and the World Health Organization were saying, that the virus is actually quite mild and that the vaccinations were not necessary. In fact, they were untested or inadequately tested and posed risks. These views have been vindicated by the UK MP Paul Flynn, who completed a report in the end of June for the Council of Europe Parliamentary Assembly, where he also concluded that the whole swine flu pandemic hysteria was manufactured by the World Health Organization and pharmaceutical companies, mainly for their profit. The British Medical Journal has also in the meantime published a very critical study about the whole swine flu pandemic and mass vaccination campaign. So, nevertheless, I'm about to be put under court supervision by an Austrian judge on the grounds that I see conspiracies everywhere that I cannot prove or have no evidence for, and because I pose a financial threat to my own father's property. He died in October 2009 and left myself and my brothers a house in a flat of about €700,000 or €800,000 in worth. We've already had to deal with our mother's estate and sell her house, and we did this successfully in England. But here in Austria I could find myself imprisoned and stripped of all my rights to continue my work as well as a result of this judge's accusations. Fortunately, I was able to see the note she wrote to the court in Dublin on the very day she wrote it, and I made a photocopy of it, and I could see her reasons were without any basis at all in fact, and I was able to launch appeals, and I will also be filing criminal charges against this judge because I can prove through documents, emails, faxes and other evidence that this is a manufactured and spurious excuse to silence me. I'm not the only person in Austria or Germany who is now facing this kind of persecution. Other bloggers are also being hounded by the state and targeted by corrupt judges, misusing the law to silence them. This is unfortunately a tendency that we're seeing not just in Europe but also in New Zealand, in the USA and Canada. In Austria too, passed in 2010 the Terrorism Prevention Act, which allows the government to more or less arrest anybody under the grounds that they pose a threat to the state or are a terrorist or incite terrorism or approve of terrorism, whatever that is. So we are now entering a much more dangerous era comparable to 1933, when people were also arrested here en masse in Austria by corrupt judges misusing the law. Shortly after Adolf Hitler marched into Austria in 1938, about 200,000 Austrians were arrested under a variety of excuses or pretexts in what began or what was the start of a terror regime. We are now facing a similar situation. All these years later, we have a similar financial crash, also engineered by the banks. We're facing World War III around Iran. We're facing compulsory conscription under the Lisbon Treaty, and we're facing an increasingly authoritarian government. In America and Europe, we're also facing new flu jabs, which contain elements of the toxic swine flu jab, and we're possibly facing another manufactured pandemic. This is why governments appear to be so keen to shut down the internet and silence people who report on these events.